Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. As Nigeria grapples with multidimensional energy poverty in the face of global race to transit from conventional energy sources to more greener potential, concerns remain on the widening gap between the North and the South, with attendant negative consequences relating to growing insecurity and deepening poverty. Despite huge potential in hydro, wind and solar, the energy poverty in the North is aptly captured by a survey which shows that the Northwest has a minimum of 0.74%, Northeast 0.75% and North Central 0.58%, when compared to the Southwest with 0.42%, South-South with 0.48% and Southeast with 0.49%. Of course, this has remained a huge source of concern, and efforts by national and subnational governments, such as the ongoing AKK gas project and other attempts at renewable energy, have not yet yielded the desired results, even as the region grapples with post-return to democracy in 1999 industrial tsunami, non-functional refinery, and the impact of epileptic power supply on households and small businesses. It is against this backdrop we'll be engaging a seasoned energy expert and former Group Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer, GMP, Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Engineer Yusuf Usman. He's a fellow of the Nigeria Society of Engineers and is also the CEO, PCL Energy. Welcome to the program, Engineer.
Thank you very much.
We're happy having you in our studio.
I'm also glad that you have identified me for this program.
Good. President Bola Tinubu appears to have started implementation of the report of the special investigation headed by Jim Obazi on the Central Bank of Nigeria, which indicted the former governor of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, some banks and other private entities. Yesterday, the CBN governor, Olayemi Cardoso, ordered the dissolution of boards and managements of 3 banks, Union, Keystone and Polaris, that were indicted by the Obazi-led probe panel. All the banks were acquired through questionable transactions, the investigative team had claimed. In a press statement issued last night by the Central Bank spokeswoman, Sidi Ali Hakama, the Apex Bank attributed the dissolution of the bank's managements and boards to non-compliance with the provisions of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020. The CBN has also instituted new leadership for the affected banks. And finally, the Supreme Court will tomorrow deliver final judgments on governorship tussles in 7 states. The states are Kano, Plateau, Zamfara, Bauchi, Lagos, Ebonyi, and Cross River. Our correspondents in the states report that while most of the governors and those challenging them are in Abuja ahead of the judgments, security has been beefed up in the states to forestall breakage of peace and order. Yes, Engineer, once again, welcome. Even though we are here to discuss energy, we always engage our guests, with issues, in town. Yes, as a technocrat, you've seen what happened with some banks, yesterday. What is your take on that?
Actually, let me state categorically that this current government, which is the government of Aswaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think they are starting in a very good footing. Why I say this is because the reforms that they have announced so far, although painful, but I think it's a necessary reforms that is required to correct a lot of things that have gone wrong. And my prayer is they will take it through in spite of some of the comments that have been put out there, some positive, some negative, but I think the positive carry the day. I just pray that they continue with the reforms. What they are doing in the financial sector is fantastic, and I think they are bringing out issues. I just pray that they have the courage to take it through. So my own view and assessment is that the government is on the right track. It's just that we need to accelerate the pains of the people, so that succor will begin to come to the people, and they will have the patience to bear with the government to take us through the reforms.
Many thought that the Obazi, governments over years, they will constitute a panel, they will just do media trial, and before you know, it will fizzle out.
I think this is a little bit different, because the reforms is coming with actions. You can see when they started the reforms, there has been a change in management, which is action, immediate action. And as they take it through, even before the report is finalized, there is action that is following the report. So it gives us hope. But before, when you do an investigation, you submit the report, and then the report will go through a number of reviews, and in the course of doing, it gets distracted, and it will
even do white paper.
It will end
a lot of technicalities
in the cabinet. Yes, but we have seen a different approach, and the approach is, as the report is going on, depending on the severity, is an action that is following the report. So, and I think it's a good sign.
And you think it will engender confidence, maybe in investors, even customers of banks and all that?
Of course.
Because, they announced the constitution of new management for these banks earlier today.
Something about the banks, you see, the banks are people's money. And responsible government has to protect people's money. You can imagine you put your money in the bank and you don't know what is going on in the bank. So it's like when you are sick and you refuse to go to hospital for normal checks. When the issue become bad, going to hospital become
meaningless.
Exactly. But if you go to do the check, they will start to cure it. So what they have done in the banks is like a process of cure, so that people's money will be safe. Good. So I think it's a very good thing, and it's so unfortunate that these things are happening at a time when other countries are making progress. Africa refused to wake up, and with this kind of bold decisions, there is hope. Just like they said, it's a government of renewed hope, and they are already giving us hope from the actions that they are taking. So for me, I think it's a positive thing for the country. It's just that Nigerians have to be patient enough. We are not used to this kind of hardship. Even in Islam, they say after hardship, there is relief.
Yes, so finally, yeah.
Praying that relief will soon come.
Fine.
Yes, but I think
the other tidbit was actually 7 judgments, engineer. 7 judgments coming up tomorrow. This is more than 7 months after, or nearly 9 months after election. We held this election in February and March. We are now in January, almost 10 months. Some governors will know their fate tomorrow. Are we getting the democracy right?
Here, I think I have a mixed feeling here, to be honest with you. And my mixed feeling is democracy is about government of the people, by the people. Now, we would like to see judgments that reflect the wish of the people. So the worry we have today is, I come out to vote, and I'm very positive that my candidate is winning, and a lot of these judgments are taken based on technicalities. And you see, when you take judgment on technicalities, what happened to the voters? This is just my worry. So if we'll have a mechanism where the voters, their vote will speak, then we have it. For instance, I will give you an example. If you have an election and you have the winner and the second, the person following him, and then the third, the first one has technical issues, you remove him. The third one has technical issue, you remove him, and you ended up with the third one. Why can't we do it all over again? So that the vote of the people counts. Because now, if you take a decision on technicalities, then the vote of the people don't count in that circumstance. And that is why we keep on having problem of voters' apathy. Because we really want people to come out and vote, so that what they want is what they have. But where voters are discouraged from voting, then it will be very difficult for politicians to even encourage people to come out to vote. This is my own whole view around this thing. I only wish Because when you say Supreme Court, it's supreme. So it means that court should be able to have a human element in their decisions.
Being supreme.
Yes, in decision being supreme.
They are seen as next to God.
Reduce as much as possible technicalities so that the wish of the people is what comes out at the end of the day. So this is just my own feeling. I just pray that these decisions that are coming out will reflect
the wishes
of the people, because that will engender peace.
Thank you very much, Engineer.
It's my personal view. I'm not a lawyer.
And it reflects actually the feeling of generality.
I take definitions first. It says democracy is the government of the people by the people. And so the wish of the people is paramount.
It must prevail.
It must prevail. So if there are technical issues, you do it all over again so that the wish of the people prevail.
Thank you very much, Shanda. Over to the issue of the day, addressing energy poverty in the north. This is your area of expertise. Can we attribute the glaring poverty across the 19 northern states to energy?
Well, energy plays a serious role. But let me say this, it's not only in the 19 states. First, let's look at the whole country.
Okay.
And I think the whole country is at the moment experiencing energy poverty. It's just that the level of scale of the north is worse than the south. And the reason is because in the south they have alternative to the grid power, for instance. So when you talk of energy poverty...
What are those alternatives? I'm sure our viewers, people keep asking.
Okay, so yes, so the alternative is this. So for energy poverty, it means you don't have access to the basic energy that you need for your life. For instance, lighting, which is electricity, cooking, to the basic, people want to cook. You really want to cook with energy that is efficient, that is not pollutant, and so on and so forth. So where you don't have this, then you are classified as falling into the group of energy poverty. So, and you can see, based on our population, which is about over 200 million people, we are literally rationing 5,000 megawatt.
5,000?
5,000 megawatt is on the average the maximum power that we are able to wield. So if you ration 5,000 megawatt across the country, and that's the only thing the other area have, the other region has. And if the other region has gas, for instance, you can complement with the grid power. So they have gas, and gas is what they use to sustain the industry. They have other source of energy means, for instance, LPFO, you can import it, and they are also at advantage because they are sitting by the port. So which means whatever you bring in, and then you want to take it to the north, you have an added cost of transportation. So which means if you look at all the energy that we need to use for the industry and use for our cooking and everything, is more in the south than in the north. We also have potential to augment our energy in the north, but we are not utilizing it. For instance, God has given us sun, and the solar is one area that the north can actually augment their energy need. But because it requires a lot of investment, and then before, if you really generate power from solar, you need it because of storage, and if you don't have capacity to store, what they do in other countries is to inject the excess into the grid. But here we are, where our grid is very fragile, and the power you generate from solar is intermittent, so it cannot go into our grid. So which means you need to stabilize it. And that is why gas becomes very useful in the mix. Because if you have access to gas, you can generate gas and mix it with solar, stabilize your power, and excess you can take it to the grid. So that will help us a lot. In fact, it is because of that that we seriously say, look, we needed to have this important pipeline infrastructure.
The AKK.
Yes, that can take gas and also give the north certain competitive advantage that we don't have, that the south has.
Someone will ask, Nigeria is now how many years of independence?
Yeah.
you know, and we are yet to get it right. What is the fundamental problem?
So, based on my experience within the public sector, for instance, and what I have seen, largely our problem is human, to be honest.
Human?
Yes. The major problem is human problem. You see, all available statistics that we have today show that we have everything it takes to be great. We have the material resources, we have the human resources. Our people excel all over the world. You know, we are talking of energy. At the last COP28, it's amazing to hear that a Nigerian is now in charge of some of the energy funds in Washington. He's a Nigerian, but Nigerian American. He's in charge of the energy fund. You can see some of our countrymen are heading global issues that discuss some of these issues that we are talking about. They are Nigerians. But so what is going on? When you come home, you begin to see people that are charged with the responsibility to do these things are failing us. So for me, I attribute this, some people say it's colonial masters that have stolen. No. See, we have passed that. It's purely human.
Shifting blame.
Yes, shifting blame. So it's purely human. My belief is we have all it takes to be great. All it takes to be great. But the thing is, we need to, I think, begin to change and select individuals that can take us to that. There is a conversation that is going on today, and I read in one of the social space that, look, why can't we go back to those days? For instance, in the ministerial appointments, can you divide it into two? The heavily technical content ministries, you take technocrats. And these technocrats, you can also find them among the politicians, or you pick them out. And then the other non-technical ministries, you can take politicians.
Instead of the one-size-fits-all mentality.
Instead of one-size-fits mentality. So we have the people that can take us there. It's just that we refuse to click. And to be honest, it's purely human. Look at the investigation that is going on. Some of them are mind-boggling. You can't believe that some of these things are happening in the country that you are in. So I think my own message to Nigerians is that, look, we can do it. All it takes is to have people of competence and integrity. And
during Obasanjo, you know, and thereafter, there is this privatization and all that. You have the GENCOs, you have the DISCOs. Nigerians were meant to believe that that will take us to paradise, let me put it this way. But it's like we are still with the old mentality that crude method is the only way to keep dragging Nigeria to resolve its energy crisis. There are some differences. I'm sure you are widely traveled. How did other countries, even within Africa, maybe South Africa, or maybe Kenya, you know, how did they manage to actually address their issue in relation to energy?
So, you see, the whole thing, like I said, is human. And the second thing is about process and governance structures. You see, let me tell you, corruption, for instance, when we say corruption, is everywhere. But what stops corruption is strong institutions.
Strong institutions,
yes. Because corruption is a human character. So if you allow a space for it, it will grow. So all over the world, is just that some people say you don't fight corruption. What you need to do is to correct your structures, processes, governance, have stronger institutions.
I want to get it clearly.
Yes.
You don't fight it.
No, you don't fight it. Because what you do is you put structures in place that will prevent the corruption from happening. So like the example you give now, you are privatizing discourse, for instance. So you have to have a criteria. Are these people competent enough to manage what I want to privatize? Is the process of privatization good enough so that when these people take off, they take off with efficiency? And look at other privatization they have done in the telecommunication sector. They brought in the MTN, this thing. It's a success story. These people have taken us out. Today, I don't even remember the last time I used the telephone.
The landline.
The landlines.
Or to check the balance in your phone.
Yes.
Maybe.
They just went dead. Because these people have been able to bring in efficiency, clarity in what they do, and it was a success story. So why is this one not successful? If you check the process, you discover that there are flaws in the process, and maybe in the selection process, maybe you have not been able to take people who have technical competence to do that. The last report I saw, which was very, very amazing, the discos that are almost insolvency are Kano Disco, Kaduna, Abuja.
In the
And
north.
I said, look, in terms of commercial activities, if you take out Lagos, the next people will say is Kano. So this is a place that has a huge amount of commercial activities. Why should the disco that sell electricity is failing? So I think it's a process. Like I said, all our problem is human. So if we are able to do the process right, the selection right, and the competencies in those companies we have taken is correct, things will work out.
Now, if you take Kaduna, for instance, I mentioned it at the beginning of the program, the post-transition, there's this tsunami that wiped out companies,
yes,
a lot of them.
Yes.
And they are attributing it to energy.
Yes.
In Kano, it is the same thing. If you go to Bauchi,
yes,
if you go to Plateau,
yes,
for almost all these states in the north, you see they have industries, but they are now comatose. Is it that the energy choice was wrong at initial? Or they also have an alternative now instead of thinking countrywide?
So, and this is a story that actually touched me a lot. Because when I was in the university, in the 80s, they normally send people for industrial attachment. And I was sent to Kano. And this company belongs to Garba AG. Two companies actually. One was making soft drink, and the other one was a textile, Magon Textile. So I was actually running between the soft drink company.
And you are
yes,
on attachment?
On attachment between the soft drink company and the textile company. The whole area, we call it Sharada Phase 2, full of industries. Today, if I go there, it's virtually dead. Kaduna was famous for textile. And this one is uncontestable, everybody knows. Today, the textile companies are gone. And to be honest with you, it's purely energy positive, to be honest. It's energy that kills it. So, and the lack of energy, like I said, the north was 100% relying on the grid power. And at that time, the refineries are working. So they also produce LPFO, this is the bottom part of the refined product that has no much value, so you sell it to this company.
They call it LPFO.
Yes, so they run it like diesel into their industries. It's cheaper and it's good for them. Just to decompose some of this for you to know,
yes.
A typical industry, the operating cost is as high as 60% for energy.
The total cost of average industry.
Production, yes.
60% goes for energy.
About 60% is the cost of energy.
Is it the same somewhere else?
Yes, it's almost common. So if you now have 60% of this cost of energy, first of all, if it is cheap, it's fine. If it is even available, it's okay. But if it is not available, then you have to run diesel. Your cost is high. So you will not be able to compete. And the resultant effect is you fall down and die. And that's what happened to all those companies. So you look at it, and my own worry is sometimes you see yourself dying and you refuse to do something about it. The other time I was discussing with people that, look, in the north, can't we have a holistic energy policy that will use anytime there is a policy of government, we now check and see, does it dovetail into what we think can benefit the north? I'm going to give you a couple of examples on this thing. So here we are. We have region in the north that are industrious, that can actually manufacture things, but energy kills them. And here we are in our sister area in the south. They have companies. They don't have as much energy from the grid, but they have this gas coming in, and all of them are active, vibrant, and producing. So which means in any energy policy, you say, okay, if we want a uniform progress across the country, then it is natural for government to say, okay, let me distribute this thing that has sustained the industry here into this part of the country, so that those industries can come back. And you know, energy poverty has a relationship to all this insurgency and crisis that we have.
The insecurity.
Yes, because if you don't have job for people, then they don't have what to do. They become easy recruits for whatever. So that is why it's a sensible thing to do.
So can we say
to distribute?
Can we say what
this
they are investing
energy
on security, you know, is to greater extent not supposed to be so? They should have also invested in areas around energy capital around.
Yes, but you know the problem with security is you have to deal with it. Otherwise,
but assuming you deny the plugs that actually, you know, propel it.
So here is my approach is simple. See, you have security in your place, you have to deal with it. It becomes a priority. But at the same time, also think of what is causing this thing and begin to invest in those areas. But to say that, look, let me reduce the money in the security and start to deal with this, no, it won't work. Because once you have security, then it becomes a priority. So you have to deal with it. But at the same time, you also have to pursue those things that are creating problems, you know, so that you can create jobs for people, you get people engaged. And that is why the idea of bringing the AKK is a fantastic idea. Don't forget, the AKK has been on the drawing board for 13 years. It was when we came on board that we were able to enable it and get it.
You were with the NRPC at the time when it was...
I was directly in charge of the AKK, and I remember the word of my boss. He said, look, there are two things I want you to do almost immediately. Start the AKK, and then make sure that we expand the Nigerian LNG so that we can get revenue. Okay, and to be honest with you, I succeeded in all those two.
You will shed more light on this.
I will share more light.
I'm very happy to hear this. Yes, but we'll go on.
It's an area I like talking about.
Viewers, please don't go away. We'll be back shortly to continue with this interesting conversation.
Join us for the 21st Daily Trust Dialogue and presentation of the 2023 African of the Year. This year's theme, Tinubu's Economic Reforms, Gainers and Losers, will be chaired by Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, former Minister of National Planning. Guest speakers, Wale Edun, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Dr. Victoria Akai, Immediate Past Director General, Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Comrade Joe Ajero, President, Nigeria Labour Congress. This event takes place at NAF Conference Center and Suites, Kado Expressway, Abuja on Thursday, 25th of January 2024, 10 a.m. Attendance is free, and you can watch the live broadcast on Star Times Channel 164 or Nicomsat free to air. For sponsorship, branding, and participation, please contact 081-5176-4600 or 080-3392-8902. Don't miss this insightful dialogue shaping the economic landscape in Nigeria.
Yes, welcome back, viewers, and engineer, once again, welcome back. Of course, our viewers are really interested. So before we move to oil exploration in the north, which will be the final part, I want you to still talk about the AKK, especially who should come and fund the anchor aspect of it, the anchorage, right? Yes. And then even the funding, do they require people from outside to come?
So you see, like I said, the anchor that we chose for the AKK was a power plant. But you know, the issue with the power story in Nigeria is another big event. One of those things that delay us from getting the anchor is at a certain point in time, the embed, that is the bulk electricity trader, that they are supposed to give us license for the power purchase agreement to embark on our project suspended, all new power purchase agreement. They say the power purchase, and the power purchase agreement, that's the power purchase agreement that you need for investors to get your money for investment, has capacity charge and energy charge inside. Now, and that is what you use to run your economics. They suspended the capacity charge and they say it's only energy only. Now, if you say energy only, PPA is only good for solar, because the solar doesn't require so much investment like the gas. And therefore, the ability to recover your investment can be managed with the solar, but not with gas. So we had that problem, but we were also solving it, because at that time, to be able to do the Anchor project for Kano, I approached the MD of TCN. That time,
transmission company.
Yes, that time was Usman Gur. And we had a discussion with him. He promised to give me a PPA from West African Power Pool. So you see the potential of Nigeria. If you have a power plant in Kano, you can also serve all the West African countries.
From Kano?
From Kano.
Kano can be the exit gate of
exactly, because they are doing transmission line from that Kano to Maradi and all those West African countries.
And that one has not started?
Yes, even. And their power purchase agreement is backed up by African Development Bank, which is bankable. And
reliable.
Yes, he was able to get a requirement for 600 megawatts. And that's enough for me to start the Kano power project. So, assuming we continue like that, we would have enabled the Kano power plant, and then we had an anchor. So today now, even if you start the power plant, you're going to have a mismatch, because the pipeline will finish before the power plant. So the advice we are giving today is to say, okay, get a commitment from the distribution company to start making investment of the distribution infrastructure with the companies they have already signed up and they know the volume they need. For instance, in Kano, a particular franchisee has already done some enumeration of the number of companies that he can actually sign up. So all he needs is for the project team to sit down, have some commitment, so that he can start making investment on the distribution side. Then they can commission this pipeline with those companies that they have identified, since they don't have an anchor. So that is the way around it. But they have to start now, because they are making promises that the AKK will finish maybe end of this year, end of this new year, and the distribution infrastructure also take time to construct. So I think this is now time to start making the distribution infrastructure to the industries that they have already enumerated, so that by the time the gas comes, it can go into these industries without being flared.
Investors look at the body language of those in power. I'm referring to governors. In what way do you think northern governors can key into this and own it?
Yes, so what we did when I was there, we did what we call a regional forum. So there was an AKK forum that we did in Kano, where we brought in the AKK transit states to participate in the forum. And the main essence of the forum is to actually educate the investor community that this AKK is going to finish by this time. Start making investment in those projects you are interested in, so that we can match with the development of the AKK. We did that, but the promoters of the AKK need to sustain those kind of educational forums, so that they should continue to encourage the investors that the AKK is a reality. Like you said, there has to be some kind of confidence, and the confidence should come from the promoters of the project that this project is real. This project is going to be completed. This project will be finished by so time. And when you promise, you must fulfill. Then you give confidence to the investors to say, yes, this is a reality. Then I can start making investment. Otherwise, everybody will fall his hand until you finish the project and they see people making good for their investment, then they will start to
Okay, now moving to real oil. Some people believe coal mining is deception.
No. Kolmani is not deception. Thank God. That time, I was the senior technical advisor of the DNGMD Mekantibaru. And it was during that time that we announced an oil find in Kolmani. So a number of wells have been drilled. It has been tested. So it's not a fluke.
It's true.
It's true. There is oil in Kolmani. It has been confirmed. It's not a fluke.
But how long will it take to come to?
Thank you very much. So the next step is to get the investors that will come in and mature that project. The current management has announced an investor already that is supposed to come and do what we call an in situ development. In situ development means you produce the oil and consume it in that place. So which means the Kolmani is going to see projects that will consume the crude oil in that place, so which means they are going to have a refinery there, a small refinery there, or they can take the crude to Kaduna refinery. They are going to utilize the gas as well. The gas, they will have fertilizer plant or whatever plant they will have a power plant that will consume all the gas in the area and bring in development in that place. They have a blueprint, so it's just to push so that the project will begin to see the light of the day. But they already have an investor.
You see Nigerians, engineers, governors, ministers rushing outside the country looking for investors. This Kolmani, will it be difficult for the Northeast governors to come and say, where are the investors?
So, what you are saying is absolutely on spot. So, what the governors, I'm sorry to say, what the governors are not doing is to take interest in the investment in their state. We have been saying that don't let the government to do it alone. Just like the speech of the former President Buhari when he was launching the AKK, he said, I've done my own part. The rest is for the state to take off this enabler infrastructure that is coming to the doorstep and encourage investment. The same thing, when there is an oil activity in your area, you must take interest and find out and look for the investors and even fight to get an equity in the place, even if you don't have. It's your land. It should be, and the promoters of the project will be willing to release an equity for you for even the protection and the peace of their investment. So they have to take off interest. But you see, the state also have to find ways of making revenue. If you look at their internally generated revenue statistics, it's not very good.
It's not encouraging.
So where you don't have enough money, you are relying on the funds from the federal government to do things, then getting the investment becomes difficult. And investors, like what I've seen in the AKK, will not just bring their money. You have to put in your money to show that you believe in the project. Then they bring money. That's why most of them, they will not give you money 100%. They will say, I will give 85%, but you need to put 15%. It's
just like the counterpart funding in the education sector.
Yes, that is a confidence building, that I'm doing a project in your place that you believe in. Because if you don't believe in the project, you will not put your money there. So you have to show that you also believe in the project, put in your money, make an investment, then the investors will believe in you, and then they'll bring in the counterpart money, and then we have to. So I think the state governors need to pick up interest in some of these projects, begin to show interest in participating in the project, so that this project will see the light of the day. Even if they don't participate, ask questions. Why is nothing happening in this area? Call for meeting. Get all the stakeholders and say, look, the state is inviting the promoters of this particular project to give me an update. Because
many believe that project was used as tool for canvassing for votes ahead of the 2020.
No, it's there. But the other thing that we need to talk about, which is also very important in the subject matter that we are discussing, which is energy poverty in the north. Sometimes, like I told you before, that we need to have an energy policy for the north. Question that is being asked today is that, is it the right thing to look for oil in the north, or use that money that you use for oil to look for invest in renewables?
To invest in renewable energy?
In renewables, yes. So for instance now, under the energy transition scheme, the oil it's become an obsolete energy for this thing. According to available statistics, they say oil is going to peak in the next 10 years. So in the next 10 years, it means the importance of oil will begin to drop. Gas will peak in 40 years, for instance. So whether 10 years or 40 years, it will come to pass. If we don't do something that the whole world is doing, if you go to Morocco are installing solar farms. When you say solar, it's not this small solar panel that people put. No, it's like a whole city. It's panels.
The whole area.
I'm telling you, it's panels.
And it can power industry.
And in Morocco, I even saw things. They use, okay, like I told you, the solar power need to be supported by a stable power. In Morocco, what they do is they use the solar panels and mirrors. So they use the mirror to generate steam, and the steam will run turbine. We call it steam turbine, and that will give you a stable power that you can use with the solar power to stabilize your power that you can inject into the grid.
There was this project in Katsina.
Yes.
The wind.
As far as I traveled by Katsina, I saw that wind power. I don't know much about it, but the turbine are not moving.
In fact, it's not,
I don't know whether they have done a good study of the wind in that area.
The direction.
To sustain, yes, to sustain those kind of things. But I have more hope in solar power because we have it in abundance.
You mean you have more hope in it than even in...
Than other sources of...
Like electricity, fuel or gas propelled energy.
Okay, the thing was following is the solar is emerging. So the technology is still coming out. So the problem with it is the quality and stability of the power you generate. So that means you need a stable power to sustain it to get to your industry. That's why I'm giving you the example of Morocco. So we can use this combination of solar and mirrors. The mirror will generate steam so that we can have steam turbine. And then we'll also pay more attention to our hydros. So that what I mean is the energy focus of the North should be geared more toward renewables than fossil fuel. Okay. Because the renewables, we have it in abundance. We can lead the way in terms of energy transition from the North. Actually, we have a perfect opportunity.
You think it is possible?
It's possible, and we need to leverage on all these schemes that are available. In the COP28, there are a lot of announcements. We need to have access to those funds.
Many believe the governors
are very serious,
and all that, they went there for holiday.
Yes,
they didn't even listen to the deliberations.
We can actually demonstrate leading the way in the energy transition from the North. The South has fossil fuel. The North should lead the transition of energy, and the mixture of it will take us to what we promise. You know, we promise to transit by 2060, to transit and have net carbon by 2060. When I say net carbon, I don't mean stopping the use of fossil fuel, no. Yeah. But the fossil fuel will come to your doorstep clean, without much emission of carbon to the atmosphere. And to emphasize what I'm saying, you know, the world promised that the temperature of the earth will be limited to 1.5 degrees. And 3 days ago, I was watching CNN. Kavanakas is one of those people that are talking about warming. And they released their report. Already 2023 is termed as the warmest year. The warmest year, because it has recorded a temperature of 1.49 degrees. So when you already have 1.48, 1.49 degrees, and your target is 1.5, we're in trouble. So which means all the promises that people have made on reducing carbon emission now will be taken seriously. So as a nation now, where our leaders have made promises, then we have to demonstrate moving towards renewables. And what I'm saying is the North is situated in a perfect position to begin to take the advantage of renewable energy, which we are not taking seriously. So what I'm saying is we should have a debate. Instead of sinking a lot of money looking for oil that is going to be produced in the next 10 years when oil peak, and you will not get the benefit as much. And now there is so much talk about renewable. Should our energy policy in the north be focused more towards renewable as a game changer, so that we can produce renewable as much as we are producing energy from fossil fuel? Then the country, the combined effect of it will take us to 2016 net carbon.
All right, thank you very much. I wish we have more time to discuss electric cars and all that, but time is gone. We'll bring you back to discuss that. Thank you very much, Engineer Yusuf Usman, fellow Nigeria Society of Engineers, former Group Executive Director, CEO, Gas and Power, NNPC, now CEO of PCL Energy. We thank you for coming and for your informed perspective on this important topic.
Thank you very much, Daily Trust. I'm very happy that you have invited me to discuss this subject that I'm so passionate about.
Yeah, thank you.
I also try as much as possible to educate on energy policy and governance. In fact, that's what basically PCL Energy does.
Thank you.
You know,
thank you very much.
educating as much
Thank you.
possible.
And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We sincerely hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics Live, airing every weekday, on our special package on Friday, during which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues. See you tomorrow when we open our lines. Bye-bye for now. I'm Hamza Idris.